It's today in Eve, March 20th, 2020, and we are still quarantined in stations, meaning people are, at least California, are quarantined. So that's what's going on in real life. But today we're going to talk about wormholes and the secret life of wormholes. There seems to be a world war going on that is continuing from a few weeks ago. And we'll talk about that and more with a couple friends here. Say hello to Teddy.
He's just running back upstairs now. Hold on. Say hello, Teddy. There you go. There he is.
From a distance. And we have Ashley Traynor with us. How you doing?
I mean, as good as I can be for having home evicted.
Right. Is Teddy there yet? Teddy?
Hey guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you both for joining us. We also have Spod with us, who's kind of a wormholer. But Ashley and Teddy, first tell us a little bit about yourself, since you don't usually get on. You guys are both part of TIS, but usually don't get on the shows. But tell us a little bit about yourself and your backgrounds.
Well, a lot of people know me for my blog, Ashy in Space. I write a bunch of guides about wormholes. I'm the CEO of the Wormhole Corp Foxholers. We're a C2 group for the next 2 days at least, living in a C2 with a null second and C5 static. And I'm engaged to Teddy, actually, in case anyone didn't know that. Yes, like space outside your ship. Yeah, Foxholers and the alliances outfox. Yeah, and just say, like, if you'd like to know, the next article that's going up is probably going to be a guide, nullsec wormhole identification.
So I'm the CEO of Sinister Trajectory, which is the other corp in Outfoxed. We used to be in a 5-5, but we recently moved and sort of went into the same hole as Foxholers. So we dropped down a few classes, but I think we're enjoying it a lot more.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about your... Oh, we also have Caleb in here. What's up, Caleb?
Hey guys, just done herding cats.
Right, all right. Well, we're going to be talking about wormholes. I guess what's called wormhole, World War Wormhole. How's that? I don't know if that's the name for it, but that's it seems to be there's a world war going on. So tell us, Teddy, from the top, or Ashley, whoever, get us up to speed on what happened before today, for instance.
So it sort of all started with the eviction of TD Sin, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, which then also kicked off the counter eviction of Hard Knocks. Both of those corps were fully evicted from their halls, and then it sort of just spread out and ignited fights everywhere and completely split wormhole space down the middle.
What are the two sides of the split?
So two sides of the split. Teddy's coughing right now. You've got on one side you've got Hard Knocks, Laserhawks, Inner Hell, and then a sprinkling of their cronies. Singularity Syndicate is one. Cryptid Gaming, War and Wormholes, Whole Control, and so. So you've basically got the big blue donuts and the people who like the taste of blue donut blank. And then you've got most of the rest of the smaller corps, I'll say. Somehow AFK has been included in that, which is pretty good, to be honest. They're one of the bigger corps in a way. It's basically that group, that blue donut, versus everyone else who matters. So we have, the likes of Foxholers, AFK,
TD
give me some
Sin,
names. TDT, yep.
Exit
Posse.
Strategy, Posse, Wholesale, MCAV, Nomex, Spoopy Newbies,
Wormhole Society.
loads. Ridiculous amounts of people.
So the general thing that's been happening then, so you had that TD Sin eviction, which was, defended and then lost. Then you had the Rage eviction. So HK were pissed at that. So in retaliation to the Rage eviction, the Blue Donut, being HK, Laserhawks, and Inner Hell, have gone on a bit of a tirade, going around and evicting anyone who stood against them. So it seems to be that they're maybe going for some sort of narrative of, you can't stand against us or we'll crush you. That seems to be what they're doing.
Well, the part of the publicity is, and we should say that nobody in here right now is on their team, basically. So we're going to misrepresent them, or not represent them as well as they could represent themselves. But from what we've seen there, at least from Inner Hell, it's like we're looking for good fights, and if we're gonna encourage you to fight us because we're in it for the excitement, for the fun. And this has gone on and on about us trying to dissect what the reasons were and what the politics are and what the propaganda is about this conflict that's going on, because they seem to be grouping up. I like what you said. They have a taste for the blue donut. But they seem to be grouping up in ways to ensure their victory, not actually to fight and lose if they must. So there's really, and since the three of them are some of the most powerful groups in Wormhole space, the three of them collectively can pretty much ensure the destruction of anybody else. And then you guys, on the other hand, are you guys all groups that have been persecuted by them, or are you just groups that are friendly to one another? How's that work?
So it's kind of, in a way, people who've been persecuted by them, but a lot of it is people who just don't want to stand for HK coming in and evicting TD Sin just like that. Because, back in, like 5 years ago, it would have been a thing that PvP corps weren't necessarily evicted so much, because, the sentiment was, why would you evict another PvP corps without a really good reason? Because you're just starving yourself of content in Wormhole space. But in the last year or two, it's been very much a case of, fuck everyone, let's get some loot and maybe a fight.
Right. I'm trying to think historically what that was like, where you had little villages that are little tribes that would raid each other, steal some goods, but essentially would leave the tribe there. And now you have like Mongols coming in and just conquering everything. But they're not really subjugating you guys. They're just tearing down all your stuff. So it falls apart a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, you could say they're subjugating the people who want to then support them instead. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Either way, I mean, we don't have, and that's not a thing. I'm not saying people have come in to do that. It's not like Hard Knock come to your door and say, fight for us or die. It's nothing like that. Although that would be a pretty interesting thing in EVE Online. God, that would be fascinating.
I thought I'd seen that. There was a group that was allied with HK, Inner Hell, and Laserhawks that had actually been a victim to them, at least when they took on TD SIN.
Are you talking about the Mighty Beans?
Oh God.
Yeah,
No,
they
I don't
were.
know.
Yeah, they were evicted by Inner Hell, and then like 6 months later, they help Inner Hell evict TD Sin.
Yeah, they were evicted by Inner Hell like 2 weeks after they lost a big fight, including the first Hamos to Hard Knock.
Okay, maybe I was referring to them. I don't know. Somebody said, look, these guys are suspiciously helping them, and they were victims of them at the same time. So there is a little bit of that.
Actually, I heard that about a number of corps on the Hard Knocks, Laserhawks, Inner Hell side. It's just, I have a history with the Mighty Beans, so they were the first that came to mind.
Okay, so that is, for people who can't see, Gregorian Masao. I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
All right, good. So Ashley and Teddy, you guys are now under siege in your home. What's it look like?
We will be within the next few hours down to the structure timers. Well, from the looks of it, it's going to be a few days until they come out. And I don't know. I mean, unless we get a really nice connection and get a good chance to fight back, it's unlikely that we're going to be able to save much here at all. So it's bleak, but we're not, we're not upset. It's whatever.
Is anyone coming to help you out like people helped out TDSIN?
Yeah, but being wormhole space, there's always an element of getting those people in to help. It's not like you can't just say, oh, just take the Titan bridge over to my region, just come sit here and help. It's very much you have to get those entrances, you have to get whole control, and that's kind of what kicked off a lot of this with frig holes, really, because of frig holes existing and allowing people to get interceptors and Kikimoras and such in en masse for as long as that hole lived. It has changed the meta, I'd say, of evictions to shift it entirely towards frig holes, just like that.
So it looks bad.
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
it's pretty bad, but we're not sad. Right? That's what I'm saying. We'll see. Probably won't be able to save it, but we'll see.
Okay.
However, we are prepared for the worst, and I don't think like any of our active members will actively lose that much stuff. It sucks to lose the structures, but most of our members are not going to lose anything. Maybe hulls, but we can replace those in time, and we don't run very expensive doctrines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a massive loss to us.
They seem to have set you up for when do the final timers come out on your structures?
About 2 days from now, pretty much.
So the weekend.
Yeah, plus or minus an hour or two. But yeah, and it is what it is. It's gonna mean a weekend of a bit of being docked and doing what we can, but
Have you taken evasive maneuvers to save your stuff, like piling things into freighters and logging off in space? That kind of thing happen?
There is an element of that. I won't detail everything that we're doing with that regard, but that is pretty much the meta. It's exactly what Hard Knocks did. When we went for Hard Knocks in response to TD Sin, they just didn't fight back. They all just logged off.
Yeah, so they let their home burn, but now they're seeking revenge on everyone that participated in that.
Yeah, and I think it would be really interesting if we did have someone from that Blue Donut here, really. Although, from experience, it'd be difficult to find someone with an objective view.
Yeah, it's funny. This is one area that's very difficult to get. You can get the guests and stuff, and they are polite to each other, but they won't cop to anything. Like they won't even, they hold up the narratives basically.
Yeah,
which is
and there
fine, I
is
guess.
an element of history between different people as well, which really enforces.
Yeah, because a lot of people in Wormhole space know each other and have known each other for quite a long time. So over time, like grudges can build up between each other quite quickly, until sort of like a narrative builds and reasons for eviction start coming out of nowhere.
Oh, I just got word that Braxis would like to come on. Let's see.
That'd be good.
He'll be on in a couple minutes. All right, so we'll. Braxis is the leader of HK. He's actually a hard interview because I shouldn't say hard interview. He's hard to get. It's the first time that we'll be hearing from him. He's usually not keen on doing interviews, so him showing up would actually be interesting. But it would be a good time to check in with that side to make sure that we have some insight. You know, even if it's just whatever the explanations are and stuff. There seems to be something going on in wormhole space that is not usual. I don't think we've ever seen it before, right?
Maybe right back to drop bears.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know, maybe. But
Drop bears seem to be
back.
The drop bear eviction, and drop bears are the wormhole corporation that was out of Brave Newbie, so there was a lot of them. That seemed to be the final chapter in Quantum Explosion's domination of C6 wormholes, rather than an opening salvo of war between corporations, right? Like, to me, who was it that was destroyed? There was like 3 or 4 groups that were taken out, and then the last group was drop bears, and then that seemed like that kind of ended all the that was the last standing C6 wormhole group. So I kind of feel like that was the end of a war. And now we're seeing something new, because it's no longer about dominating C6 wormholes that could be, say, rented out or extorted out to people who would pay extortion fees or racketeering fees in order to be able to get that lucrative income from there by being left alone and harvesting in those areas, ratting and that sort of stuff. Here it seems like, well, it's not about C6s anymore, because there's only 105, 106 of those, right?
Well, yeah, right now it's really anyone, and there's only 3 things I think it can be. I mean, Brax should hopefully shed some light, but it's either going to be something political, something loot-based, or, just for the good fights, which, as much as eviction scenarios can be stressful and really shit for a lot of people, it can give you some of the best fights in wormhole space, dare I say, in even general.
Oh, I have terrible news, but I'm not able to continue because I have to share the airwaves with my wife, because we're all piled in together. So I'm going to have to stop or find somebody else that can monitor this. Hold on a second. Terrible timing. Get Braxis and then have to stop. 1 second. What about you, Caleb? Can you direct traffic? Are you even here? Yeah, so that's 500. There's more than 500 C5s and approximately 115 C6s. That's why the C6s could be all colonized, basically, or not colonized is the wrong word, but they could all be taken over and monitored, whereas the C5s couldn't.
Yeah, I mean that and C6 dreading. It'd be good to get Praxis on here regardless, but are you going to have to shoot off in a second then, Matra?
I think he's just trying to find someone else to take over.
Yeah, I've got to take off or I won't be able to talk, so it won't do me much good. We'll come back. We'll come back in a few minutes, like, I don't know, 30 minutes. Sorry, I have to end abruptly, but this is the life in quarantine. So we'll flag up when we can come back in maybe a few hours or something. All right. Thanks, everyone.